Kansas. Hello, America. This is Justin at Seeking Context, speaking today with Megan Jox, who is the founder of Confident Juice and a personal trainer. Thanks, Megan, for joining us today. And I'm curious to find out, first, what is Confident Juice?
Yeah. So Confident Juice is really a mission just to bring education and empowerment here to the Northwest Kansas area. I've spent the last 18 years juicing and learning about what a helpful tool it can be to just help people to heal their bodies. I think our bodies are really magnificent in the way that they truly are designed to heal. But I think we've lacked a lot of education in that area, and our system really hasn't been set up to help us do that. So yeah, our mission is really just to educate and empower and to just kind of pioneer or at least lead the way here in this area.
Cool. And so what is juicing? For a person that's completely unfamiliar, is it just buying a can of juice at the grocery store? Or it seems like it's a little more involved than that.
Sure. So to start off, juicing is removing the soluble fiber from your fruits and vegetables and leaving the vitamins, the nutrients, and the enzymes. When you drink that, it absorbs into your blood system within 15 minutes. So different than just eating your fruits and vegetables, which we still highly recommend. It's the absorption and the full utilization of those vitamins and nutrients, because you do lose a lot of those within the digestion process. And due to years of poor eating habits and our standard American diets, it really is hard for us to get the amount of vitamins and nutrients and enzymes that we need to really thrive today. The difference between what we do and what you get in the grocery store is anything that you're going to buy resale is going to have been pasteurized. So that means that it's been heated to a certain point, and all of your live living enzymes are going to end up dying off. So if you think of it this way, your cells underneath a microscope are going to be moving very quickly because they're alive. If we want to have cells that are thriving, we need to be feeding our cells with things that have that same vibration, a high level vibration. But a lot of times we cook all of our food and we heat everything to a certain point and all those enzymes die off. So it's no wonder that we are suffering with a lot of the different sicknesses and diseases, and our immune systems are really struggling because we're not really feeding our cells with anything with that high vibration. So that's kind of the difference, and that's what the juicing really is.
Right. And so could I get the same thing by just eating my fruits and vegetables?
In some ways, yeah, of course. And I think in a perfect world, like as we try to heal from different things that we have done, just with our air and our water sources, then yeah, that is the goal, is that we can get everything that we need from just eating our fruits and vegetables. Unfortunately, that's not really where we're at in our society. We've had years of processed foods, degenerating the soil. Our produce doesn't even have the same amount of minerals and vitamins that it once did. So to really get what you need from just eating is pretty impossible at this point in time, unless you want to make eating a full-time job. And right. I don't know about you, but I don't have time for that. So juicing is a really great way of getting in the amount of nutrients that you really need to feel good, to think better, to have a high level of energy, and give your body what it needs to heal and feel great.
Right. And so you can come to Confident Juice. This is going to be a retail location.
Yes, right.
But I noticed on your website you also have like a subscription plan that you can buy. So tell me about the options for how people can juice and how much you should think about consuming during a given week, say.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, discussing like the memberships and stuff. The memberships that we have, if you go to our website, confidentjuice.com, on the drop-down box, it will say Confident Juice Crew. And that is your opportunity to, one, never forget to order your juice. Because once you're signed up with that, you automatically every week are going to get 3, 5, 7 juices, depending on which membership that you sign up for. Second of all, it's your opportunity to really link arms with us and what we're doing and saying, like, I believe in this mission. I want to be a part of it. You will be one of the first people to know about our menu. You'll be a very loud voice for us when it comes to solidifying our menu once we do become open more. Also, taste testings, things like that. We want to have a sauna in here as well to give people an opportunity to detox on a cellular level. And so that's what the memberships are. We find that right now the way that we do things is we press once a week, and then people pick up on Saturdays, or we make arrangements with them. And so once you sign up for that membership, you don't have to remember, because I think that's where we all kind of fall short, is like one more thing to remember. So yeah, that is what the memberships are. You also get free swag like t-shirts and cups and stuff like that. So definitely sign up for your memberships. And then your next question was?
I'm curious, this is sort of a separate question that your conversation led me to think about. It's tell me about the process of actually pressing. I saw in your kitchen earlier giant boxes of cucumbers. And so you said you do it one day a week.
So
what do you do on that day?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So it is a whole thing. So if you can imagine Santa's workshop on Christmas Eve, that is what it looks like in the juice shop. So we start, if not the day before, actually we do. We start the day before. We go to the grocery store because we put all of our orders in. And we are working with local farmers also to start growing a lot of the produce that we get here locally. But for right now, we put our orders in at the grocery store, and somebody goes and gets them on Friday mornings, and we start the washing process. So we try to get everything 100% organic, but out here it's simply not possible quite yet. We are definitely working on it. So we will spend time washing all the fruits and vegetables, saying really nice things to them, make sure they're, like at the highest vibration possible. And we're cleaning bottles. So we believe in recycling and reusing whatever we possibly can. So we use glass bottles. So somebody will be here washing all the bottles, getting them sanitized and prepped for the next day. Then when it comes to Saturday, our first shift will come in and we will just start juicing. We have a Good Nature juicer, which produces, I think it's 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons in an hour. We use a cold press juicer so that we can preserve the enzymes and the nutrients as best as possible. And yeah, we'll just feed them in there. Our juicer will do about 3 to 5 pounds of produce at a time. So you can just run it through there. It goes down into a bag, and there's a hydraulic press that actually presses the juice out of it. Once we're done with that, generally we make about 7 gallons, 5 to 7 gallons of any juice that we produce, which we normally do about 3 a week. Then somebody else will be bottling, somebody else will be doing more dishes. It really looks like a colorful explosion in our kitchen. And every week I always tell our staff, I'm like, think of how many kitchens we have just saved this massive mess, because it just really is crazy. It takes us about 8 hours on average on a Saturday to juice for our locations. And this week we actually had to add another day of juicing, and we have just sold out of everything quite quickly.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
How do you go about doing the recipes? Are you doing like one? I guess at the Rotary meeting we had last week, you shared a couple different flavors.
Yeah.
Are you doing a different flavor every week, or are you doing like 8 flavors in one day?
Yeah, so we try to do 3 flavors a week, and then we do change them. But generally what I try to do is every other week you're going to see one from the menu 2 weeks ago. So a lot of people might say like, oh, I really liked that one. So if you wait a week, it'll probably show up on the next menu. We do definitely take into consideration the feedback of, our consumers. But then also I'm always paying attention to what health concerns do we have in the community. And I am looking for and putting together mixtures that specifically speak to those. So right now we see a major uptick in blood clots and strokes and neurological issues. So like this week we have a juice specifically designed for that. That has like dandelion green in it to help stimulate the liver and help detox the liver, mint for the lungs, fennel, and some of the stuff we're having to get from Denver just to make sure, but I'm pretty passionate about making sure that we are addressing these issues. So that's where kind of our juices come from and why we choose what we do.
That's really cool. And it sounds like things are going well. You've got a lot of people using your subscription service and buying your juices. How did that all come about?
Yeah. Goodness, that's a big question. So I'll try to give the Cliff Note version as best as I can, but about, it would have been 19, 20 years ago, my mom got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and she was given 3 months to live. And she really felt strongly about trying to go a different route. We didn't really know what that was because we didn't know about holistic medicine. We didn't know much about that. So I remember her spending almost an entire night and day doing research on the computer. And I remember my aunt saying, there's this guy in Germany who like healed his cancer with like carrot juice. And that actually ended up being Dr. Max Gerson, which I talked about at Rotary as well. And he used to have debilitating migraines and different things that he dealt with. And he used cold pressed juice to help heal himself and then help heal some of his other clients as well. And he has a whole thing if you ever look up Dr. Gerson. But anyway, that was really all we knew. And so my mom started researching. We ended up going to Tijuana, Mexico, to a hospital down there that merged some conventional ways of treatment as well as a high holistic means of treatment. They used fresh cold pressed juice at every single meal, really changed nutrition, high doses of vitamin C. Again, things we weren't ever told about before. When we came back to the States and she went back to her doctors here, they had told her her tumors had shrunk significantly, but they couldn't really explain why. Had nothing to do with her eating or nutrition, so she could just go back to eating the way that she was. So she did, and all of her tumors started growing back quite rapidly. So we immediately turned right back around, started, juicing 50 pounds of carrots every day. And
in your own home?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I definitely remember my mom bringing in these huge bags of carrots. And, we really had a healthy standard American diet, previously. So this was super strange to me. And I think just it was completely different than what we knew. So that was really my first introduction into juicing. And being 19 at the time, once they said that her tumors had started growing once she changed her diet, something went off in my brain like, oh, there's really something to this. So I have spent the last 19 years really studying and researching and figuring out what is good for what, and had different people come to me for advice, and we've seen major health changes for people with utilizing this tool or as just one of the tools, because detoxification and cleaning up your body is it's a process. You think about some of the stuff that you struggle with, you can actually just start in utero, like whatever your mom was dealing with. And that can be emotional, mental, physical. So I'm by no means saying that juicing is the silver bullet and it's going to fix everything. But a lot of times when people start drinking it, their cells immediately react because they've been so dehydrated for so long. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
When you started juicing for your mother, did you notice changes in your own feeling of healthiness?
It really started opening my eyes. I would still say I was young enough, that I was kind of like, I still want to go to Taco Bell, but I will definitely juice. And we ate things like vegan meatloaf, like made out of pecans, like things that were very strange, but then I was still going to go probably get fast food. Uh-huh. So I would say it started opening my mind. But I really was probably doing a lot of it to help her, and I just really didn't understand it. It wasn't until I was, it was probably like 4 or 5 years later when I started really getting into it and starting to juice. And then, I noticed a huge difference with my energy levels, mind clarity, just overall feeling really good, like bouncing out of bed in the morning and, literally having to put myself to bed because I still had so much energy in the evenings. And I wasn't like that before. Before I could take a nap on the spot, anytime, any place, anywhere, get sleep for 12 hours at night and still need to sleep more, horrible, premenstrual cycle issues, headaches. And I just, even after I took the time to heal my body, I just don't struggle with any of that stuff anymore. And like I said, we have plenty of clients and customers that can attest to the very same thing.
And it sounds like you don't have a juice diet. You add juice to your traditional American diet. Is that how most of your clients are using the juicing? It's not like a cleanse.
Yeah. So I think it really depends on the client and what their personal goals are. There is definitely a place and a time for juice feasting, in my opinion. And depending on how severe, like if you are dealing with a disease and you are in a pretty desperate place, yes, 100%. I think that juice feasting is incredibly important and incredibly powerful. I don't think it's necessary just for anybody, anytime, any place. You know, I think a lot of people go for a quick grab on that just to gain control over their eating habits. And we try to educate our clients. So we have a newsletter that we put out. Since January, we started just doing a reset, and that's what we invite people into, and cleaning up their nutrition. So I wouldn't say we even lean towards a standard American diet as much as we lean towards whole foods. I don't know at this point what the standard American diet is. I think we're all just trying to figure out what that is. But for us personally, we try to guide our consumer to foods that you can find in nature. You know, fish, nuts, seeds, animals, you know, fruits and vegetables. We try to guide that way. And then, yeah, we invite them to add juice into it. And we've seen a lot of, you know, changes in people's bodies with doing that. Just kind of, yeah, adding it to, and maybe looking at nutrition a little bit differently.
That's really cool. I'm curious, when you started juicing for yourself and for your family, for your mother, when did you make the transition to providing juices for other people? And how did this turn into a business? How did that all evolve for you?
Yeah, so for as long as I've been doing it, I have definitely been asked so many times. I remember in Nashville a couple years ago, I just always talked about juicing, and the fitness studio that I trained out of had a juice shop beside it. And I was always telling my clients in the gym, like, about juice, and I just geek out about it a lot. So I remember this one kid saying, so do you like sell juice, or do you like have a juice? You know, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. No, just go next door and get it. Because juicing is a lot of work. It is a lot of time. It's a lot of energy. It's all of that. And so when I moved back here, like I said, I kind of got spoiled with the juice shop being right next door to us, because I could just grab my juice and feel good and save myself some time and energy and get it fresh. And so when we moved back here, I was definitely keeping up juicing and doing all of that. I really got a nice juicer that was a commercial juicer, but quite a bit smaller. And I convinced my husband that we needed that juicer despite its price tag, because just in case I ever wanted to sell these juices. And so anyway, we moved to Colby, and I started doing the training and stuff. And I was just trying to educate people on juicing, because I still didn't want to do it for everybody. And everyone was starting to experience the benefits of it. But then it still came down to, I feel really good, but honestly, like, I just don't have the time. Like, can I just pay you to do it? And I was like, no. So there's a juice place down in Garden City, and for, I don't know, several months, I would go down there. People would place their orders, and I was like, hey, if you order it, I'll just go get it. That still seemed like a better use of my time than just juicing for the whole town. So I did, and again, just trying to educate people, and they kind of came to a point where they were getting way too busy, because they were supplying juice for the whole side of the state, and they just couldn't do it anymore. And so I was pretty bummed, and my customers were pretty bummed, and they're like, what do we do now? And so I had started a closed group on Facebook and had been educating people over there on juicing, and people were experiencing those benefits. So a couple of the ladies on there, Heather Dixon and Renee Ellie Good, we all got together and we started talking about the possibility of opening something ourselves. And that's how we got here. So we started doing it. I had pressed from my own kitchen one day. I put it on Facebook, and everything sold out within probably 10 minutes. And I was like, oh my gosh, that went really fast. And I did that a couple times. And then I looked into the state, like, what would it take for us to get a food license? And what does it really take for us to do this? So that's what we did. We just took it one step at a time, made sure that we had a clear vision for what we wanted to create, and that it was a quality product. Again, like I said, it's kind of like the vision that I have of making sure that we're sourcing locally, that it's beyond organic, all of those things. It just takes time, but it's been a really fun journey. And somehow I went from not wanting to do it at all to doing it and buying it from myself. So I have kind of created, I'm either really smart or I don't know how I got here, but it makes sense for my life journey. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And more than anything, I love seeing people's lives change. Like, that's really fun to see people come in. A lady came in the other day and she had ordered for the first time. It was based off of Rotary. And she had ordered 2 juices. And when she came in, she said, "Do you have any extra?" And I said, "Yeah, do you want some?" She goes, "You bet I do." She said, "Normally I'm on edge and I'm not, normally in a very good mood. And I drank some of that juice and all of a sudden I started making jokes and I started laughing." She's like, and I thought, where did I go? And so all I can attest to is the fact that, without this knowledge and understanding of how your cells respond to, pure nutrition. I mean, I don't think science itself cannot argue that fruits and vegetables are good for you, right?
Right.
That's one thing that has not changed within our conversations, over time. So I feel pretty confident in our product that everybody can definitely feel a difference when they drink it.
That's really cool. How did your retail location come about? I think you've released it recently. Is that true?
Yeah. So we had been looking at a number of ideas since March of last year, and we had been working with different contractors, trying to build out different locations, and everything was definitely taking much longer than I wanted it to. But we kind of just were respecting the process. And so the owners of this building had come to me and said that they had heard that I was, looking for a spot. I really was over the whole process and was like, nope, I'm not changing my mind one more time. We're just going to stick with what the plan is right now. And she just really asked me to come down and look at it. And so we came down and it really has been just a walk-in situation for us, which we really did need because we were juicing. We went from, like I said, trying a couple times out of my kitchen, then moving to a commercial kitchen. Because if you're going to juice, you really have to be in a commercial kitchen. So we went from the event center. Actually, we juiced in there. We would lug around these huge just tubs of our equipment every week and then haul all the juice out.
You would rent their kitchen for a day or something?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So we rented the kitchen for a day and haul everything in, haul everything out, schedule our pickups, have people pick it up at Flex. I mean, it really has been a journey. But yeah, so then once I kind of it clicked for me, I'm like, Megan, you don't you can just walk in and the kitchen's already, there. Had the state come out and inspect the kitchen and all of that stuff, and then we were good to go. So that's been really, really nice. And we had always said too, I was like, we will be out of the event center by the first snowfall because I didn't want to lug everything in and out of there anymore. And God provided for us, and we were out of there before the first snow fell.
That's great. You sort of alluded to it earlier, but you also do personal training.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious how your experience with that has dovetailed with your the growing of this juicing business.
Yeah, sure. So the Confident brand in general, I think really understanding what I'm trying to create. So I've worked a little bit in mental health. And one thing that I discovered working there was that as a society, and I primarily work with women within my personal training business, was that no matter what we looked like or no matter what we accomplished in the gym, there was still this struggle within ourselves that, led us to live insecure lives. So still struggling with jealousy, insecurities, bitterness, anger, all those things. And seeing that within the fitness world is pretty interesting because you can have bodies that are literally the epitome of what we're told is perfection. And when you can see behind the curtain and you see that they might still hate themselves, it's pretty devastating, or it was to me. And I didn't want that for my clients, and I didn't want it for myself. So it kind of led me on my own journey of discovering, how do you actually become confident? I realized that I was not at all. I really had a lot of self-hate and just thoughts that I thought were normal, and probably are, which is kind of devastating, probably very normal for people. But I was becoming very aware that it didn't have to be that way. So worked really hard on myself, on my own mindsets, reconciling the lies that I believed about myself, pursuing what was actually true about myself, and kind of really began to love myself for the first time, like ever. My body, just me, right? And I think that's really uncomfortable for people to hear, and uncomfortable for people to even entertain that that's possible. Because I think we're even shamed for like saying that, I know right now the culture is trying to change that, but I don't also see a lot of practical tools for helping people get there. So I set out with this mission for Whole Confidence and the Confident brand that I was going to do training different. And at Whole Confidence, what we do, especially when you sign up for a crew, is the first week, I give you the ins and outs in training and really help you understand the mechanics of lifting safely and appropriately for your goals. But we do a lot of heart and mind work as well. We start learning how to reconcile with ourselves. We start learning how to rewire lies we believe are truths. And what it produces is a genuinely confident client, or at least gives them tools to continue to pursue true confidence. So the Confident brand, whether it be personal training or whether it be the juice shop, or I'll have a book coming out, I believe early summer, that will be along those same lines. Everything that we kind of build is with that vision of seeing people reconcile within themselves so that we truly can become the fullness of who we were created to be, that you can dream dreams. I think too, we kind of stop dreaming at some point because all that crap gets stored in us. So yeah, it's just overall health, right? From the body, the mind, the spirit, whether that's in the gym, we can use the tools over at the gym to kind of help you work through some of those things. And there's plenty of opportunity there, because the great thing about the gym too is we use uncomfortable situations. There's always a point in your training where your mind wants to go negative. Why am I here right now, right? And so we use those moments to train you to think higher. Like, okay, let's focus on how great this is. Let's focus on working through this and making it our opportunity and not our opposition thing. So same thing over here at Confident Juice. My goal and my mission is to, again, somehow, some way, help people realize that health and wellness starts in the mind. Actually, probably starts in the heart, surrendering to learn something new, then renewing your mind, and then letting your body follow. And however we get there is fine with me, as long as that's what we're doing. And I think as a community, that's really my mission here, is just like, how can we all become healthier, the mind, the body, and the spirit?
Yeah. And so on your last point there, so is there a spiritual component to the work that you do?
Yeah, of course, right? Because in my opinion, like, God lives in me, and I love God, and I have been a Christian for a really, really long time, but my relationship with God continues to develop and evolve. And the latest thing that he had been teaching me is about how to just let the word become flesh, right? Like, so just living and breathing and being on a mission like that. It's been really, really fun. So yeah, everything I do, most definitely God is in the middle of it, and allowing him to work however he wants to work, and me just being available to do those things and love people well. That's my job, is to just love people well however I can.
That's great. Do you have a sense of where the Confident brand is going in the coming years?
Yeah. So like I said, we'll have that book released hopefully at the beginning of summer. Hopefully the juice shop will also be, I always say hopefully because, I obviously don't get to control all the components, but we are doing some decent renovations in here. So hopefully by the beginning of summer, that will also be open. We've got some really fun guests that are pretty well known in the juicing community that have wanted to come down and help out here at the juice shop. And so they kind of range from being from Hawaii. And then we've got our friend from Nashville, Mary Beth Laxton, who she has several juice shops over in Nashville. And so she's going to come down and consult with us and do some fun things around here. And then, have you heard of the documentary Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead before?
No, I'll have to check this out.
Okay, it's a juicing documentary. You guys should really watch it. But anyway, possibly getting Joe to come down here. He's in the documentary and stuff. So anyway, just a lot of fun things, just trying to create a space for people to come in the community and be built up, feel really good when they come in here. And then hopefully by the end of next year or this year, starting a podcast and just, doing whatever we can just to continue to provide people with tools to become a better version of themselves.
That's great. Well, so you're writing a book, you're doing personal training, you've started a juice brand, you're kind of living a version of the American dream, as far as I can observe. Yeah. I'm curious what advice you would have for somebody that's thinking, I want to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And not, just live the corporate rat race in America.
Yeah. So I think probably one of the most important things for me actually surprisingly came from an experience I had rock climbing. So I like indoor rock climbing. I'm by no means a professional, but it does provide a lot of clarity for me anyway, because I'm very introspective anyway. But this one time I was climbing and I got to this place in the climb where there was nowhere to go. And I just hung on the wall. And if you haven't ever indoor rock climbed before or been new at it, you're kind of like a cat, like hanging onto the wall and you're burning out your forearms and your heart's pounding and you look down and you're like, why do I do this to myself? And there was really nowhere for me to go. I really felt stuck. So I just let go of the wall and I came down. And the instructor, he was so mad at me. And he was like, don't ever do that again. And I was like, what did I do? I was like, you saw it. There was nowhere for me to go. He's like, I don't care. You never let go of the wall. And I was like, but literally, where was I supposed to go? And he said, it doesn't matter. He said, I don't care if there is not a grip anywhere you can get, you still jump for it. He said, that is way more respectful than just letting go and coming down. Jump for it. Jump for something. And that really resonated with me, and it still sticks with me, is that whenever I feel like there's nowhere to go, that I look around and I go, what can I jump for? Like, what can I jump for? And life has definitely handed me a number of challenges, a number of really, really hard things. And I realized that we survived those, right? And we came out better. So because of that, it's kind of just stirred this realization of like, we're going to just jump for it. Because what's the worst that's going to happen, right? I'm going to fall. Okay, and then I'm going to get back up. When you jump for things and you learn how to get back up, it develops a trust within yourself. And then every time you get back up, you realize, like even now, there's a number of risks within opening a brick and mortar, and especially where things can be so digital now, taking that risk almost doesn't even make sense, right? At this point in time, you don't need to. You can save a ton of overhead. But I think, again, when I look at, I kind of have those moments of like, what the heck are we doing? I go, Megan, like, this is what you do. You swim to the middle of the ocean and then you find your way back, right? Like, however, we're going to find a way, and we're going to take a bunch of people with us in a really great way. So the more you build trust with yourself, the more you learn how to get up, the more that you realize that every opposition is actually just working for you, then you realize like really anything is possible. And then you start looking for other people who are willing to think the same way. I think that's a big thing too, is finding people, even if you have to walk alone for a while, even if you have to, because I think any good leader has a season where they have to walk alone. They have to really get clear on what is important to me and really learn how to build trust with themselves. And then once they do that, you start seeing other people who kind of think the same way. Then you start linking arms, then you start building fun things. But that would be my advice, is like, one, like find people who are kind of crazy in a good way, who are willing to think different, and you'll know them because they're not busy like talking about other people or their problems or whatever. They're literally just looking for opportunity, and they're finding ways to build each other up too. I think that's the other thing. Find a good community. If you don't have it, maybe it's just a season you need to build trust with yourself. But then go for it, because like you only get one shot. So go for it, and you'll always come back, right? You can if you choose to. I guess you can choose to lay there and be a victim too, but if that's you, then just look me up and I'll cheer you on and I'll remind you can get up.
Oh, and it seems like the community in Oakley and in Colby and in Western Kansas has been pretty welcoming, would you say?
Yes, I think for the majority it's been welcoming, for sure. There's so many great people here. And again, with the community that I build and the things that we work on, my goodness, like unstoppable. Really quite courageous, amazing. And again, I primarily work with women. So I have been so fascinated with just who we are as a community here. I'm learning. There is a little bit of a learning curve with maybe those that don't have that same mindset. But for the most part, it really has been welcoming and great.
And for people that don't know or are just hearing about you for the first time, where can they go to get Confident training or Confident Juice? Can you just plug?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so anybody looking for personal training, we actually have 2 other trainers that are phenomenal and have been working underneath the Confident brand. And so to book with any of our trainers, you can go to confident.me, and we spell confident CONFITENT. So confident.me, and then for Confident Juice, confidentjuice.com, or on Facebook. We've got Whole Confidence on Facebook, and then Confident Juice on Facebook as well.
Cool. And I guess I got one last question for you.
Sure.
If I buy a couple of juices today, how I have to drink it quickly? How long do these enzymes stay shaking?
Yeah. So the sooner is always the better for any cold pressed juice. But our juicer does allow us to put a 7-day expiration date on them. Again, it really does depend on the type of juicer that you have, but ours gives us a 7-day window.
Cool. All right. Well, then you need to get in here in 7 days and buy all of this juice that you're making today, I think.
Yes,
right?
We'll have juice on Saturday. And then we have a Hoxie location. We have a Goodland location for pickup. And then right here, and then Ryan delivers to Oakley. So if anybody's looking for juice, definitely place your orders, though, because they do go fast. Some people, wait, and then they are looking for our extras, and they have just been going way too fast. So you want to pre-place your orders if you can, and if not, then those are the locations that you'll be able to pick them up at.
Cool. Well, I'm jealous. You're starting a business that sells out every week. This is amazing.
It has been crazy. It just is getting definitely busier and busier, but I think it's such a good time. People are genuinely looking. I think 10 years ago, I lived around here, and I would try to educate people on juicing 10 years ago. And I mean, there was only like one person, 1 or 2 people that would come and like listen, and everybody else just made like silly jokes about it. And now people are definitely listening, and that's encouraging. It's kind of interesting to see the change within that amount of time, from it kind of being laughable and a joke to people genuinely being interested and experiencing the difference. I think we can do a lot of service, even to the hospital. I think if we could be more preventative towards some of the things like high blood pressure, cholesterol, things like that, just things you can change with your nutrition, we can take some of the pressure off of our hospital and our healthcare workers so that they can, get back to doing some things that they're really, really good at, right? Like sewing me up. I definitely want them to sew me up. I can't do that with juice.
Right.
So anyway, yeah.
Well, that's great. So, Megan, thanks for all you're doing to create community and to build healthier lives in Western Kansas.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Great to speak with you today.
Yep. You too.
All right. Take care. That's it from Seeking Context, and we'll see you next time.